Welcome to Overcoming Medical Hair Loss Summit. My name is Valerie Fuentes. I'm your host, and today I am with Tripp. She is the Brown Blonde on Instagram, and I'm so excited to have you here. I have been loving your account. I think that you have some very vulnerable shares that take a lot, just to say those things in public. So I truly appreciate what you're sharing and your stand for women with hair loss. So thank you so much for saying yes and for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so let's get to know you first. When did you start losing your hair?
So I started losing my hair about 3 years ago, and I'm coming up on 3 years now. It's October 25th, 2017 was the first time that I noticed my hair loss coming out in the shower in clumps.
Okay. And then what happened? So you started losing your hair, and what did you think the first time? Because I know it can be pretty traumatic.
So I had a previous bout of telogen effluvium when I was much younger. I had a surgery, and it resulted in hair loss. And I just remember I was like 15 or 16, and it was coming out in clumps. So I thought when it first started coming out 3 years ago, I thought maybe it was just another bout of telogen effluvium or just a shedding period. But I kind of also, I don't know, something inside of me kind of told me like, this is not going to stop. I hadn't had a surgery. I hadn't had any major event that would really trigger just a short telogen effluvium. So I kind of knew at that point that it was something more serious.
Mm. And what did you do? Did you do any treatments? Where did you go?
So from there, the first 3 months of my hair loss, I kind of just let it ride. I was just like, okay, I'm just going to get through this. It's going to stop. I tried to just, live life as normal. Didn't really pay too much attention to it. And after that, I started to get really anxious. That's when like the hair picks on the top of the head started, because I was like, man, my hair is getting thinner, my ponytail is getting thinner, and it probably wasn't noticeable to just an average person, but anyone with hair loss can attest that when your hair starts falling out, it's something that you are constantly aware of. And it was something that I just was always pulling at the strands, and like even right now, I mean, I can pull out the strands and they just come out. But so yeah, I mean, and that's really when I just started doing research. And I just started spending hours and hours and hours on Google and forums and Facebook. And I just started to just Google whatever I could. I started doing blood work. I had many, many rounds of blood work done. I fired my first doctor because they weren't doing enough for me, or I didn't think they had, the answer I wanted. Then I started going kind of on the doctor hunt to find, a naturopath doctor, a thyroid specialist, my primary care doctor, a dermatologist. Like I just wanted to see everyone to get an answer. I don't know what answer I was looking for, but, I took hundreds of supplements. I actually did more harm than good with the supplements. I thought selenium, because if you have Hashimotos, selenium is something that you can be low on, and it can cause hair loss. So I just way overdid it. I took way too much. And I just, my blood work ended up coming back super crazy because of that. So that was something that you just have to be really careful with that kind of stuff. But I tried just about everything to get it to stop, and it didn't stop.
And so where are you at right now? Like, are you still looking for answers? Do you feel comfortable with it? Are you still looking for treatment and like ways to grow it back, or are you done with it? Are you at peace?
So I'm definitely at peace with the hair loss. In going through all that blood work and treatment and different things that I did the first few years of my hair loss, I uncovered my thyroid issue, which I had actually known about many, many years before, but I never took it seriously. You know, I was taking one pill a day and like, that was it. I didn't think about it. But I had so many other symptoms of Hashimoto's disease, which is a thyroid autoimmune condition. And I had so many other symptoms that were coming up, like fatigue, loss of breath. You know, every time I stand up, I basically feel like I'm going to pass out. You know, I just had so many different symptoms. So I am having treatment now for my thyroid. And my doctor is somehow still optimistic that my hair is related to my thyroid. But honestly, I have no hope. I don't like get excited about that anymore. I'm way more content to just wear hair than go down that path again.
Right. No, I totally get it. I also have thyroid problems, and I've been taking medication for years now. I can't even remember how long. And I always heard the same thing. They keep telling me, well, if we get your thyroid to 2, I'm sure your hair is gonna grow back. And like, you know, it's been 2, it's been 1, it's been 6, it's been everything, right? Because we've tried everything and it still didn't. But I do know, you know, by talking to my clients and all the people that I interview, that it's a common theme. Like I mean, a lot of us have alopecia and have thyroid issues. So, I mean, you can tell why they say that, but sometimes like one thing doesn't mean that because you fix one thing is going to fix the other. So
Right.
I totally get that. So as far as hair, like when did you decide, okay, I'm done with this, I'm going to start wearing hair?
So last year, it's been a little bit over a year since I started wearing hair. And I started wearing hair because I found social media, really. And I just remember like I was looking at hashtags and just trying to find anyone else who had what I was going through. And so I bought my first hair topper last year, and it wasn't something that I felt super comfortable to wear out immediately, but it was something that, you know, I just played with at home and kind of just like got comfortable and tried to style it and make it look as realistic as possible, because that was the most important thing to me then, was that no one could tell. You know, like I just wanted to feel normal going out in public, and when I would go to events and stuff, like I would just do crazy hair like styles to try and hide the part and kind of just make it look like as realistic as I could. And that was about like a little bit over a year ago, which is crazy because it feels like it's been a lot longer than that I've been wearing hair, but it really hasn't been. So
Yeah, and I love that you said that, because I think for a lot of people at the beginning that's super important. I just started to kind of like you. So I've been wearing hair for 6 years now. But the first 5, I had a hair system, which is a semi-permanent solution, where I will just go. It was bonded. It was like a bonded topper, where I will go and my hairdresser will tie it up like every month, and I had it the same color every time. Like I've had the same. Well, actually, no, I've had different colors throughout the different years. But I always wanted, like, I've always had the same thing every single day, right? So if there was a change, I will just say, oh yeah, I dye my hair, or like I cut my hair. But I've never experienced what I'm experiencing now, because it was just recently that I started getting different colors and toppers and wigs. And I think it's definitely a process, right? Like it took me years to get here. So like
yeah,
for all the women that are not even, like they're still thinking, oh my gosh, should I get a topper? Should I get a wig? Like, understand that you don't have to go crazy, right? Like you can get
yeah,
one. I had
just
one
one.
for 5 years. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do think that is super important to mention, because especially if you're on Instagram, and there's so many like influencers, if you will, now that are on Instagram talking about hair loss and getting gifted pieces and
Yes.
getting free pieces and having all these different hair options and wearing different hair every week. And it can feel really overwhelming for someone who's just starting out and like, oh my gosh, like I have one or I have none. I don't know where to start. And all these people have so many. Like, it takes years of saving, and you know, you don't want to go into credit card debt. Like, you don't want to go into debt to try and buy hair. Like, it's something that just takes time. And if you can find one piece that you
Mm-hmm.
love, that piece, if it's a good quality piece, like it will last you this piece that I'm wearing right now is the first piece that I got ever. And I still think it looks great. So it's just like, this probably would have lasted me this whole time, but I like it too much and I spend too much money on hair. So I can't help it.
So how did you manage your transition going into work? Like, did you feel not comfortable wearing it? Like, how did you manage that?
So, we spoke about this briefly, that I was working remotely for the first 7 months of me wearing hair, which was really great for me because I was able to kind of, start kind of making videos on Instagram and connecting with other women on Instagram and working alone and not having to go into work and see people every day, was a super healing time for me. Then by the time that I had to start wearing toppers into work, because now I have a new job and I work in an office, I was more comfortable. It was still a little bit uncomfortable because you're meeting new people. I see clients all the time. People come in and out of my office, and I'm a human and I'm not perfect. So if I see someone kind of staring at my part line, sure, I'm going to be like a little bit wary, but I think what has proven to me to be the best way is to just be honest. If you can, if it comes up naturally, if it's something that you feel strongly about, just like have a conversation with your coworkers, or if you even just one coworker, if you can kind of get someone on your side to just know like your story and what's going on, it just really relieves like a lot of pressure and a lot of brain space because you're not worried, you don't care anymore.
Yeah, I love what you said about like the release. Almost, it's almost like a release. You're like, oh, I get to be myself now.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to do a public service announcement. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to tell a bunch of people at the same time. I do think it's so important what you said of, just sharing with people that you're comfortable with and people that that will receive it well. I also
Right.
think it's important, because it also can be really weird to share something so personal with people you're not close with, right?
Yeah.
Um, and another thing that I share with women is like, when you're sharing, like, think about what's your intention, right? Because there can be this conversation can go in so many ways, right? So like, you can share with the intention of uh, just releasing and feeling more like yourself. Um, the other thing that happens sometimes is like, you can maybe inspire them
Yeah.
to feel free from whatever it is they are going through, right? Because we never know what people are going through. And something that happened to me is that when I started sharing, people came out of the like nowhere, like people that I went to college with telling me, oh my God, I didn't know. And then we were in college, I was struggling with this and da da da. And we don't know, but like the moment we share, we're just opening doors for people to also share. So I think it's so important to know that, we might be that thing that they're also waiting for to be themselves.
Yeah.
And we're in our head thinking, all this stuff, but it's in our head, really. So
And
tell me, how has this worked out, like with your relationships, maybe with your family or your significant other? Like, how has hair loss played out with your relationships?
so, I mean, I am in a relationship. We've been together for coming up on 5 years, and he has kind of seen me from, start to where I am now. And it was definitely tough because I for sure thought that all my hair was going to fall out and he wasn't going to like me anymore and that I was going to be ugly and no one was going to like me. And that's an inside job. That's something that I'm still working on right now for other reasons. But he hasn't left me, like my bathroom closet is filled with my hair. It has a whole wall of hair and he's like very accepting of it. So that part of my life has not been negatively impacted by this at all, which is something that I would hope for anyone, in a relationship, that their partner would be accepting of what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then as far as my family, so my mom has hair loss and she wears wigs, and she's been wearing wigs for 15, 20 years or more now. So she is very experienced in the wig wearing game, and super supportive of, you know, me, whatever I need to do to kind of make myself feel comfortable. She loves my hair and she tries them on and stuff. So we have fun with it now, which is really cool.
That's awesome. And I saw recently you shared something on Instagram about how you felt like hair loss sometimes, or at the beginning, or maybe up until now, I'm not sure, you tell me, make you think that you're not going to feel sexy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are you managing those thoughts? Because I know that's a concern for everyone. Like, I've had that
Right.
concern myself. And I would love to hear, like, how are you managing that?
I'm in therapy.
Okay.
I mean, that is a, you know, we can talk about that if you want, but that's a whole other kind of thing that I'm dealing with on top of this. And it started kind of before my hair fell out.
Mm.
So I think dealing with hair loss on top of that is very daunting and scary, especially thinking about losing more than what I've lost right now. Because right now, sometimes I can still kind of get away with it and I don't feel super unattractive. But I think that's where doing work on the inside is the most important, because your partner's going to love you no matter what you look like. At least that's what they're supposed to do.
Right.
And you know, what bald women are beautiful, you know, there's creating that connection with someone that's deeper than just outside looks
Mm-hmm.
is critical, you know. And I think losing my hair has shown me that a relationship is more than just being physically attracted to someone. Like, it's really, you have to dig deep and you have to learn to love yourself for other reasons besides just your looks. So, like, yes, I still get Botox sometimes because I want to look good, but you know, like, being a good person, doing like the way to build self-esteem is by doing esteemable acts, like being a good person, helping other people. Like, you know, I created this Instagram to help other people and like connect with other women going through what I'm going through, taking time to answer questions, you know, like things like that give me value. You know, it's, I was raised believing that like I needed to be pretty to be worth something. And like losing my hair showed me like that's not true. You know, like I'm worth more because of this experience, because now I have relationships, I have friends, like I have connections, I've done a lot of cool stuff because of this hair loss. Like it does, my hair doesn't define me. And I think that's really important, especially for young girls going through this, to realize that, you know, you're beautiful on the inside and that's what matters.
Absolutely. So speaking of young girls, like, how was it? What was it like to grow up watching your mom wearing wigs? And like, what do you want to do now when you have children?
So watching my mom wear wigs was sad because I knew that she was struggling. You know, like I never judged her. I never thought she was not beautiful. Like I never thought less of her because she was wearing wigs. Like it was kind of her secret, and like I knew that it was her secret, so I didn't want to share it with anybody else. You know, like she kept her wigs in her wig closet, and I wouldn't let, like when my friends would come over, like that closet was off limits. Like I just didn't want to embarrass her. And you know, I just knew that it made her really sad. And it wasn't something, when I was young, it wasn't something I thought I was gonna have to go through.
Mm.
And I thought that, you know, it was her issue and it wasn't something that I just never really thought that it was going to affect me, but you know, it did. So now, I mean, now me and my mom have a great relationship where we can talk openly about like our hair loss and stuff. And like, I think it's cute that we both wear hair, and, you know, it's just kind of like, it is what it is. And, I do worry about it for if I have a daughter or a son, because it's like, it's just something hard to go through, but I think, you know, it will make them stronger if they do have to. And like, I will just love them through it, you know, whatever they have to go through, like I will just love them for them, not because they're hair. And I would hope that they would know that they're more than just what they look like.
for you, what do you think has been like the golden nugget that alopecia has left you? What is like the one thing that you've learned, the one positive thing that has brought you?
I think that, I mean, it's a journey. It's something that I'm still going through, but I just have a lot more awareness now of who I am. And I think that's also something that comes with age and doing work on yourself. But just being aware of like my negative patterns and like certain character defects and other things that I have that I can work on to be a better human, because, you know, hair loss is just one piece of who I am, and it's just like one thing that I have to deal with. But trying to be a better version of myself every day, working on certain things, like working on my relationships, working on not being so self-centered. That's a huge thing of mine. And just working on not being so vain, and just, you know, doing inside work is become something that hair loss has brought me. Like I did tons of meditation. I spent a ton of time and reading and just really trying to dig deep and like find out why, you know, because I believe that everything's connected energetically. And I believe that, you know, there's so much more to this world than just like social media, Instagram, life, you know, food, whatever it may be, like just the materialistic aspect of this world. There's so much more than that. So if we're all connected, if hair loss is just part of this equation, our health is just part of it, like all of our energy, what we're putting out into the world, like what we're trying to do every day. I just think being aware of that and working on it, you know, like whether that's through therapy or meditation or self-help or whatever it may be, like that's something that hair loss has given me, is that like awareness to be able to actually start doing that.
Right. For yourself, right? Because and nobody else can do that for you.
Yeah.
And it's a daily practice. Like I agree with you 100% because you can get all the wigs in the world, but if you don't feel good about yourself, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? Like
100%.
you're still gonna feel shitty. So well, Grace, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to talk to you. Are there
That was
any
so
last
fast.
words of piece of advice you want to share before we leave today?
The biggest piece of advice that I would like to share is just that you're not alone. And if you feel alone, there's a great group on Instagram. There's a great group on Facebook. There's so much support out there for you. Wearing hair isn't scary, and you will get through this. So that's my takeaway.
Yes, lean on the community because we're all here for you. All right, Grace. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, guys. And I'll see you on the next interview.